What did you do after you got out of the service?
Oh, I got out the day before Thanksgiving, so we had a nice meal Thanksgiving. And the first thing I had in my mind, you better go back to the plant that you work for and get your job back in the mechanical division. Because if you go into the abrasive division, that's not too good. But they promised that you had a job back when you came back. So being one of the few veterans coming back from the service, the following Monday, I went down and registered with Norton Company. At that time, it was Bear Manning, and I've got the last Bear Manning watch issued to me for the first 25 years service.
Still got it? That's it?
That's it. Yeah, it's written on the back side, 1967. I don't know if you can, but that was the last watch given out by the Bear Manning people.
Wow.
Because they had a strike in '67.
It's a good watch.
It's a good watch, yes. I had 25 years when I got that.
I just got mine from the IBEW.
Is that right?
I retired after 38 years.
38 years.
Yeah.
Well,
I bet it won't last me that long, though, that watch.
I did work for them for 37 years, and I retired when I was 54. And I was involved with designing a carburetor to save gas in 1977 and 78 with the glow flow
Homogenizer.
Yes.
Did that thing really work?
I designed that.
Get out of here.
I worked in a company.
I remember when they were the guy was promoting that, and they had him on WGY. They devoted a
I was on it with Ernie Tatro.
Yeah.
And
the
they asked me,
homogenizer?
yeah, do you have a copy of that?
No.
Because I talked to Ernie Tatro, and he says, is there anything to this flow? Well, I said, I designed the carburetor, but it's got a dead spot in the beginning. You've got to go 3 or 4 blocks before you get it up to 50 mile an hour. But once you get on the highway with a Lincoln Mark IV, you can get 23 miles to the gallon.
Well, we figured, because a friend of mine and I at work both listened to
You
the
want
program.
to invest in it, huh?
Well, we were skeptical. We thought it's either a scam because it disappeared.
It was a scam.
It was a scam.
Not on my part, because I designed it.
Well, we figured it was either a scam or the oil company bought it up.
No, General Motors stole it out of I had one made up, ready to go. And the plant was, we had the plant up in Corinth, New York. That was Claude Peabody. Now this guy came in, he came in with, first I'll tell you how it started. He came in with a block of wood with 3 holes in it, and that's all it had. And he said that he thought that maybe we can take and have one hole spit out gas, then when you want to go faster, second hole. So what he wanted to do was take and choke the horse from eating the hay by cutting down the amount it goes in. So I was, by the vice president of Bear Manning, told him about me, and I had a little machine shop up in Saratoga Lake, and he came to me to design a carburetor. So I was able to work on that for about 2 weeks because I was superintendent on the 3rd shift in the company, and being an ex-apprentice machinist, the union never complained about me running the lathes and building machines. And I took and I fabricated a carburetor. And the secret of it was in 9/16 of an inch on a brass rod, there were 26 holes in 9/16 of an inch running of about the diameter of twice the human hair, which is about 7/1000ths of an inch. And inside of that was a V-shaped valve that would open 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes, 4 holes, as to the demand when you depressed the accelerator. Well, when I finished it off, he came up with Automobile 88, a year, well, that gets going further, and he wanted to try it out on the thruway. So we installed it on the Mark IV, and he drove off from Pollock Road, where I lived, up the hill and onto the Northway. I didn't go with him because I had to go to work. And that was the last I seen of him for a year and 3 months. He took off, owed me $526. And I still have the first check by IDA Corporation, check number 1, $520. But he came a year and 3 months later with the carburetor and the patents on it. I was not included in the patents.
You got it.
Honest to God. So when I was working a third shift at that time yet, and my wife says, there's a fella down here wants to see you. And I lived up at the lake at the time, up on Route 9P. And I worked the third shift and I was asleep, so my wife woke me up and she said there was a fella that wanted to see me. So I went down and it was, and the first person that stole the patents, and he says, I got a check for you, $526. I said, it was about time, a year and 3 months later, after you patented the carburetor. So he was able to get the Midland Bank up in Corinth to allow him to buy the Corinth Clute Peabody building that they used to have shirts there, because they had it in their mortgage books and they were losing the building. So they were glad for him to take it. So what he did, he put mahogany walls through all the offices, wall-to-wall rugs, and put on a big show. In the meantime, he tried to cheapen the carburetor that I had built and make it out of muffler pipe. And that, you can never do it. That with a 8-ball, a regular billiard ball, to replace the ball that I had, because I had made it out of a globe valve where it was, you can rotate it and make a design where it can turbulate the gas coming out of the holes. We turbulated the gas so that we have a frosting on the outside.
I remember the description of it. So the concept worked.
Oh, yeah.
And this guy destroyed the concept by trying to cheapen it.
We were in the business for about 6 months, and all he was interested in was selling shares. Yeah. And he had over $3 million worth at $15,000 each. All these poor guys that ran gas stations, they took a shellacking. But anybody that would come up to me, I would tell them, the concept is there, but we got to take and develop it. I'm looking for a dynamometer so we can check out where we're failing. He wouldn't go for that. I had a chance because I would have to take and drill holes with a 7,000 drill at 25,000 RPM. The drill would bend, and in that brass tube, if it broke off, I'd have to throw it away. Sometimes it would take me all day to get the 26 holes into that brass tube.
Today they probably do it with a laser.
I went to a place in Massachusetts, Laser Incorporated, and I brought a tube with me, and I told him what our problem was. Within 5 minutes, he had 26 holes, perfectly the size, the way gas entered, and it was $150,000 for the machine, which they had out on a machine design show in Chicago. When they were coming back with the machine, and he said that we can buy it for $75,000, and he wouldn't go for that. He wanted to take and milk it for all the money he can get, and then he took off.
He's a professional scammer.
His father was a minister, and I think he might still be a minister up in the church in Corinth. And his father called me aside. He says, Gene, he says, is there anything true to this carburetor? I said, well, the concept is there, but I said, we got to take and develop it. We've got to have equipment to do this with. And right now, you don't want to go for the laser. You don't want to go for a dynamometer. And another thing I found out later that I didn't know was he was taking that link into a garage and having a valve job after it was tested. He was burning out the valves that were running so lean.
Just to get the...
You picking all this up?
Yeah.
I'll probably get sued if he...
I can't wait to show this to my friend from work, because this is going back 30 years or more.
Going back to 78.
Yeah.
When the long lines were forming at gas stations. And the public was ripe for it.
So, yeah, 38 years ago.
He had his salespeople located down in Georgia, and he was telling the truckers all about this carburetor, and he was picking up a lot of truckers as customers for this. And the reason he was down in Georgia, because down in Georgia, the radio waves carry all the way out to the coast, because there's no mountains. So once you got past the Appalachian Mountains, it's all flat. Oh, he knew what he was doing.
Wow.
He had 7 or 8 marketing people, and one guy's name was... He came up to me and he asked me the same question. Is there anything to this? And I told him the same thing. If we can develop it, we got it made.
I remember the program.
I had
it was
people
very,
come up to me and I would tell them, hold off for a while.
Very convincing. Whoever was doing the talking on that radio program.
Yeah, well, he had top marketing people.
Yeah.
And they were making a good buck. I was making a good buck too. I was making over $25 an hour when the top engineering rate was 15.
Yeah, right back in
And that was cash on the barrelhead.
wow.
That
That's
was-
incredible.
Oh, yeah. Would you want some literature from that?
You got some?
I've got some home. Yeah, they say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why this stuck with us, but we talk. I mean, both of us retired now, but every now and then it would come up in conversation.
Wow.
That is incredible.
As a matter of fact, in your copy of the book that I gave you
Yeah.
is a black, it used to be gold-leafed business card. Gene Gierka, chief engineer and consultant, Idea Egg Flow Company, up in
Wow.
Corinth, New York, with the telephone number and all. He would tell everybody. But he was a scam artist.
Yeah.
I think he's still in the area somewhere. That's why I don't know if this is going to go public.
No,
or not.
no.
What I'm telling you is
As soon
true.
as you said globe flow homogenizer, though, that I had to get the rest of it.
It started out what they call Idea Egg. And the reason for it was, when I did it, I used because I had to do it fast, and I had to take and make a carburetor body. I had to get something instead of a flapper valve to control the gas. I had to use a round ball up against a sealed washer. The only thing they gave me that was these globe valves that you see in plumbing today. You got a round
Oh, yeah.
ball,
Oh, yeah.
and you turn the handle, open on. Well, I used one of them, and I drilled through the shaft and used a brass tubing and a stainless steel tubing. One inside had the valve that would open 1 hole, 2 hole, 3 hole, like that. And I built this and I polished the thing up. Beautiful job I did. He stole it. He went to an engineer and had it drawn up exactly the same idea that I had built into it, but cheapened it. He was tempting to sell them at $110 each. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember the price.
Yeah, it was $5,000 for a percentage of the share, and then it was $110 for every carburetor delivered, and you had to pay for 100 of them. Mm-hmm. So it was 11,000 and 5,000. So everybody had to come in and plunk in at least 15,000 each.
Wow. So
How's that story?
did it ever end up in a vehicle, in a production vehicle?
We went back there one day after I had finished up a carburetor, and it was on the bench, and it took me all day long to make that carburetor. Like I say, I was lucky enough to be able to drill a tube, and at that time I think I was using 7,000 or 8,000 diameter holes, and I'd throw about 4 or 5 away before I could get a full one that would work. The rest of it was fairly easy to machine up and put together. But we came back the following morning, and that carburetor was missing. And about a year later, General Motors came out with in-throttle body fuel injection. And to this day, they're using that same principle. They have a little thing spitting out and controlling the amount of gas. But General Motors came out with, first
You
they
would have
came
got a
out,
piece of it.
yeah.
At least a piece of it.
I could prove that I made it. I had a lot of people telling me. And another thing is, before they came out with that, they were experimenting with engines. And they came out with the 468 engine. I don't know what you know by that. But
That's what-
inside they can take and cut out
Right. Two
2
cylinders.
cylinders.
Right.
Terrible.
Oh,
They
yeah?
would try that first, and that didn't work. They were burning out valves too. And then he came out with some other thing, but they were on the way trying to find out how they can control the amount of gas going in. But there's where the problem was. They were burning out valves. As a matter of fact, in a lot of the aircraft that we worked on, the P-47 had the water injection. And water injection, I don't know if you know what this does.
That sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Well, every radial engine, you couldn't do it with a regular inline engine, water-cooled, but with a radial engine, they can run hot. and sometimes they would get loss of speed. But they found out that if they put water injection, a squirt of water at a certain time, they can increase the lead factor in gasoline. Like instead of 100 octane, they can go up to 110 squirting water in there.
Isn't there a jet engine that they?
No, they did that with the radial engines.
Yeah.
The P-47 had water injection on it.
Interesting.
You get me talking,
That's cool stuff.
talking my mouth off.
I'm gonna shut it off now, but.